Thank you for coming to watch my presentation for our class. I have gathered some information from my fellow clergy in the ELCA about things that they would like me to share with you as beginning counselors. I've also prepared two things for you that are attached as documents along with this video link. The first is a worksheet that I developed from Young's other book, the same guy who worked on our course text. Well, both gentlemen actually who worked on our course text have written a book about spiritual competencies, and I just thought that the information on that worksheet would be super helpful. It doesn't directly apply to this recording, but I really liked it, so I thought I'd pass it along. And then the second thing is listen to the recording bingo, which I hope is helpful and helps you interact with me a little bit because we can't be together in person. For this project, I asked my colleagues on the ELCA's private clergy-only Facebook group for input. I received 39 responses that came to me in a variety of different ways. I categorized those responses into 8 main ideas or themes. I share with you here what I asked, explaining that I'm in a counseling program, and asking these clergy people what they would like for you to know and to maybe be willing, if they would like to share some of their experiences. I also promised them anonymity in terms of both their name and geographical location. This is the listing of the 8 themes that we are about to work through. Because of time, these are going to be more high-level glosses over what these slides say than a reading of everything that is on the slide. But if you are interested in everything that I've written on the slide, you are of course welcome at any time to pause and read everything that it says on the slide. One thing that my colleagues said loud and clear to me was that they don't feel adequately trained to handle mental health issues, that things like mental health first aid and youth mental health first aid are becoming very popular, but that we as clergy, especially those of us serving in rural positions, are often sought out by people having mental health concerns, and we find ourselves triaging, and we don't always feel up to the task. My colleagues also talked to me about how they're feeling a resource crunch around mental health, both people resources and financial resources. That especially those of us that serve in rural areas just don't have the ability to get people to the resources that they need, and that we don't feel like our congregations have the ability to fund those resources either. That being said, our national church funded $250,000 worth of grants to congregations last year to start local mental health ministries. I found that my colleagues highlighted the idea that not every clergy person is so great about mental health things, and not every clergy person is the best fit for every individual parishioner or client. And some concerns that maybe if a client is not in a religious system that is able to help them feel good about themselves at the core of who they are as a being, maybe they might benefit from exploring a different religious system. And there was a study at the University of Miami that I've highlighted on this slide talking exactly about how that worked in the LGB youth community that they examined, showing that when people were able to enter religious communities that felt positively about their sexual orientation, that had positive mental health outcomes for those young people. Our denomination likes to make social policy statements. We have one on mental illness. This is a little bit about that statement, and there's a link to the full statement, which is rather lengthy and would take me more than 10 minutes to read to you, but you can go check that out if you would like. My colleagues highlighted for me the idea that they want you to know that we're in this together, that what we're doing is not meant to contradict one another's, that what is good for our parishioners suffering with mental health issues is helpful and good for your clients that are suffering with mental health issues. And just an invitation to take time to reach out to us, to introduce yourself. Let's have coffee or lunch. And let's, as a pastor, help me to feel more confident in making referrals to you as a mental health practitioner. Again, we do find ourselves triaging mental health issues, especially in the rural churches. And this is all in line with Competency 5 as an A-Civic competency, which is one of those sections of the ACA. My colleagues talked to me about being treated for PTSD, and that sometimes everything in parish life isn't pretty, isn't hunky-dory, and sometimes clergy get treated like lightning rods for other people's anxiety through no faults of their own. And then I've also made some notes on this slide about burnout symptoms and vicarious trauma, and how it is not that big of a leap to think as a mental health practitioner that if I was treating a clergy person, I might want to be on the lookout for some of those things in them as well. I was a little bit saddened to hear from my colleagues that they don't always feel like their mental health practitioners believe them, especially about some of the challenges and difficulties of being a parish pastor, and not just being able to create the work environment you want for yourself all of the time, and also the challenges that we as clergy face meeting expectations for our lives as people. Bias works the other way around too. And yes, we lady pastors and LB, well, all sorts of people can be clergy. And one of my colleagues was like, tell them that we're very aware that people disapprove, and that we know that it's possible that you're one of the people that disapproves of someone like me or someone like them being clergy, and that they really, just like everyone else, want to be treated like a person. And if you can't get over the weirdness, this person says, please recuse yourself. Maybe we've had a negative experience with a clergy person too, and are just as bothered. We are smart and intelligent, and we will notice if you are biased against us, and that won't help you establish healthy rapport with us as your client. So maybe if this is too hard for you, when clergy come to your door, maybe you should pass on them as clients. There was an outpouring of desire on behalf of my colleagues for me to tell you just how grateful they are for your service. That we are so pleased and delighted and happy that you are getting trained to do mental health counseling work. We see that you are needed. We value the work that you are doing and engaging in, and we view it as critically important. We are so grateful to have people to make those mental health referrals to, and we're so glad that as time goes by, there's going to be more and more of you. We have lots and lots of stories as clergy that we tell each other about lives that we've seen improve as a result of entering therapy. And we understand that for every negative experience that someone claims, there are hundreds of positive and healing experiences that no one ever really hears anything about. We feel very positively about therapeutic relationships that we ourselves have entered, and even though that we sometimes have had a struggle to find a therapist that works well with some of us, when we do, those relationships are very helpful. And so they have asked me to say thank you. This is the end of my recording. My 10 minutes are almost up. I hope that quite a few of you were able to pull off getting a bingo, and that was fun. And I hope that all of you learned something by watching this video and listening to me talk today. Okay, bye everyone.